Joining me now is Executive Director of the Australian Strategic Policy Institute, Justin Bassi, who previously served as National Security Advisor to the Prime Minister, Malcolm Turnbull. Justin, good to see you. If I could start with what we've just heard from Penny Wong, and that is that there are flights now out of Beirut. There are 80 positions on one flight. 35 of those positions have been taken up. Then there are charter flights out to Cyprus on Saturday. Can you give us an idea of just how difficult the situation is, and from past experience, and what the challenges are in terms of Beirut airport closing?
Thanks, Laura. Look, it's highly difficult. The airports will not be running as normal. There will be people who are scared. There will be people who don't really know what's going on. But I think the positive side, and in an unfortunate way, but the positive side is that countries like Australia are used to these situations. They're used to having to extract citizens from areas that have been subject to natural disasters or conflict zones. And so, notwithstanding how challenging it is, I think the public and people who have friends and family here in Australia can really have full confidence. The whole Australian system, the consular officers and the system around them are expert in being able to identify where Australians are and help them leave if they wish to do so.
Yeah, that's the key, isn't it, Justin? If they wish to do so. We know there are around 15,000 Australians in Lebanon at the moment. Many of them will be dual citizens. Many of them will not want to lose and leave their families. In your experience, how many people will choose to stay? There will be a large number.
Oh yeah, because we do have dual citizenship, it can appear in these situations that there are Australians stuck overseas. And there can be some situations. We've seen it most recently, of course, with COVID. We've seen it with previous civil conflicts and regional conflicts. But there are many Australians and family of Australians who have made their homes overseas or who have dual citizenship, but they've always had their homes overseas and they won't want to leave. So there will be many Australians in that situation. And remembering, this is not just something that's happened overnight, Laura. We have been building to this, and the Australian government has been telling Australians, advising Australians that if they want to leave places like Lebanon, they should have been doing so for quite some time. So those Australians who have wanted to leave already have had that opportunity. They will continue to, as the Australian system identifies the best way to get them out. But this is an issue that has been happening for the past several weeks or months.
Yeah, it has. Certainly, it's ramped up in the last couple of days. Israel continues to strike inside Beirut. We've had those Iranian ballistic missiles shower over Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. I mean, what is the aim here of Israel? Benjamin Netanyahu is very forward-leaning. He does what he often says. He's now promising retaliation against Iran once again. What is the end game here? I think there are multiple end games, Laura. The key one being the safety of Israeli citizens to be able to live in Israel without fear of being attacked either by Iran or Iran's terrorist proxies, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis. I think we do tend to look at the current situation in the context of everything that has happened after the terrible attacks on October 7. But really, we've been in this situation for years, if not decades, tolerating what really should have been the intolerable, tolerating Hamas, a terrorist organisation in control of Gaza on the border with Israel, tolerating Hezbollah, a terrorist organisation controlling the southern Lebanon on the border with northern Israel. So the end goal in these areas really is to push back Hezbollah away from the Israeli border,
to ensure that Hamas doesn't control Gaza and to get the hostages back, obviously, from Hamas. I think those are the immediate goals. Above and beyond the current issue between the direct issue in terms of responding to Iran's ballistic missile attack.
We have seen protests in support of this Hezbollah leader that was killed. We have planned protests, anti-Israeli protests, to commemorate, on the anniversary of October 7 as well. Do you have some concerns about security at home?
Yes, and I think that in what we saw just a few weeks ago, really, with the Director General of ASIO lifting the terror threat level to probable, even though he made it clear that it wasn't solely the cause wasn't just the Middle East crisis. He did say that there were elements of that crisis that is driving that terror threat level. So yes, there are extreme risks. And I think the points being made over the past couple of days are very important. Of course, we have rights in Australia, really important freedoms to be able to protest. But with those rights comes responsibilities, and you've got to operate within the law. So you can't protest with violence or by supporting a terrorist organisation. And I think we've seen these rights and responsibilities over the years. Laura, 10 years ago, if you had a passport, you could travel overseas, of course. It's a right to travel overseas. But that right didn't extend to travelling overseas to join a terrorist organisation, and you would have that right taken away. It's the same here. You have a right to protest peacefully, but if you are going to protest by inciting violence or by supporting terrorist organisations, that becomes an illegitimate protest, and that right should be taken away.
Well said, Justin. Always good to talk to you. Thanks so much for your insights today.
Thanks, Laura.